It's Thursday, August 31st, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, the geek fable of the bamboo and the vision. Let's do this.
So, in an occurrence that has repeated yet again, this is the third time this has happened in recent memory, I won a board game, but by a single point, with Alex being right there behind me, and if anything in the game had gone at all differently, Alex would have won.
Yeah, if anything had gone slightly differently, I could have won. I wasn't too far back.
Yeah, not in the most recent game we played, but in the Amon-Ray game.
Oh, the Amon-Ray game, I don't know what happened. Like, I felt like I was doing better than any Amon-Ray I'd ever done, and I did two stupid things, which basically just threw away 4 points that were free. I just threw them away, and even with those 4 points, it wouldn't have made me win, so...
I've just noticed that I find it interesting that when you beat me by a lot. And when I beat you by a lot. But Alex tends to lose by like 1 point or win by like 1 point.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh. Anyway, I gotta remember to say this because I'm gonna forget.
Yes, it is quite the meta bit.
Yeah, if you have applied for membership to the forum and you have not received an email that says, "Congratulations, you are now a member of the forum," it might be because you're using Hotmail, which is the suck.
Yes, because the fact is, we have never denied anyone membership because no one has presented themselves with that stupid of a facade.
Yes, and we've only banned one person ever, so...
Yeah, and goddamn was that kid annoying, so...
If you have applied for membership to the forum, chances are your membership has been approved within maybe an hour or so. But, we're guaranteed it'll be approved within, like, a day.
Yes, because while we haven't been posting to our own forum as much as we used to because we've been incredibly busy, the forums have been rocking a lot, and we do watch them to make sure that new members get taken care of and that Mr. Period does his job.
Yep, so...
He hasn't done it so much lately. But
if you apply to the forums... Go back to the forums in like a few hours or the next day, and you'll be all set. Even if you don't get an email saying so.
And two nice bits about the forums. One, I'd like to say, we hit like a milestone in number of hits, but we hit 100,000 hits like a long time ago, and I just gave up on even looking at that.
Yeah, whatever.
And two, if you Google image search or just Google search for a lot of random things, our forum comes up number 1 or 2.
I think the reason for that is that any forum is, number one, a place that is full of links, and number two, people link to various discussions in our forum because we make them public. And a lot of people's forums out there, they don't let you read the forum without signing in. So that gives our forum a distinct advantage. Also, the Lucimo vanilla nature of our forum, is, it's coded very nicely HTML-wise, which Google also enjoys.
The other thing I've noticed is that our page rank is soaring because a lot of websites that have a lot of clout have linked to our forums multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one more thing is that Mr. Period, because he enforces good grammar and all that good stuff, that helps the forums out a lot also on Google. A forum that's full of loot wheat, bear... Loot wheat.
Loot wheat?
Loot wheat. It's a new thing I just invented. No, woot leet fair OMG is not going to be so high on the Googles as something that's like, hello, how are you doing? Hi, I'm fine, thank you, blah, blah, blah.
So then I guess another warning to all of our new listeners who have joined the forums. While he hasn't been active for the last 3 or 4 days too much, Mr. Period is there, and he has full authority to edit your posts if you post with bad grammar and spelling. Now, I don't mean... like if you spell one word wrong occasionally, or if you just happen to make a typo. He doesn't even bother with that. If you make the same mistake more than once in the same post.
Or if you make a grievous error.
Yes, it has to be pretty bad. You have to be killing Jedi.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got a little bit of news today. It's Thursday, which is usually either the silly day or the tired day or whatever.
The silly tired day.
Something like that. We'll go a little light on the news. I know we've been light on the news a lot lately, but there hasn't been a lot of non-real world news lately. I mean, there's a lot of important news. If we wanted to talk about news, we could talk for hours and hours every day about what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Mexico right now with that almost coup.
But that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, it would basically be me sounding really, really pissed off about world politics, Scott sounding really, really pissed off about various other things, mostly world politics.
And mostly indifferent about the stuff that Rim is pissed off about, and pissed off about other things entirely.
Yep.
Like, he'd be like, this sucks because of that. And I'm like, no, I don't care about that. I only care, it sucks because of this.
And I'd be like, what? But that doesn't even... Yeah, our political discussions. We should do a couple of shows on politics someday.
I don't think that's the greatest idea, but whatever.
I think our political leanings are fairly well known to our listeners, at least.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Actually, it really isn't.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Because it so doesn't fit in with anything normal.
Yeah, there's no label. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, they're just liberals, but
No.
I am so far from a liberal.
I'm a Whig.
Yeah, you're not a Whig.
I know I'm not a
You don't
Whig.
even know what the Whigs stand for.
I know, I forgot what they stood for, but the point is that my if you took all of my political stances and tried to arrange them into a party, it would be a very old party that no longer exists, and not a current one.
The only two parties I've ever identified with, though a couple of recent parties are starting to get my interest, are the Bull Moose Party.
Yeehaw.
And I'm serious. I thought the Bull Moose Party was great.
Bull Moose Party was great.
And the Anti-Federalist Party, which was actually pro-Federalist, but don't get me started on that. Anyway, not talking about that today. We got stupid, useless, completely not in any way relevant news.
Awesome.
All right, now I don't know if this is a rumor or what. I don't really trust the press this came out of, but it was on Slashshot, and no one really said, hey, this is a rumor. So I'm going to run with it as though it's true, but I will say now that there are many grains of salt in what I'm about to say. It appears it is possible that Microsoft is intending for Windows Vista to have a startup sound that is not able to be turned off and not able to be modified.
Whoa. Well, first of all, that's not possible because someone can modify it. It's not.
Well, what if it's in some sort of encrypted, protected part of the image install, and it has checksums, and it just won't boot if the checksums are wrong?
Then it's not any more difficult to break that than it is to break any other DRM.
Oh, yeah, but remember, this won't hurt people who are smart or people who pirate. It'll hurt corporations and normal people. Because I remember before I became an IT guy, and when my knowledge of computers was basically user knowledge, when I was learning, like, I would figure out how word processors work, the early days. One of the first things I figured out how to do, and one of the first things that most non-tech people do when they, get a new Windows computer, is they move the icons around and they modify their desktop, and they change their desktop theme, and they change all the sounds Windows makes.
Yep, that's what you do.
Like, the first thing I would always do when I got a new Windows install when I was young was make some sort of Monty Python sound my opening sound.
Yep.
And Microsoft taking that away doesn't affect me because I don't care. But that's going to affect all the people who are the way I was when I was 11.
All I gotta say is that over time, what's happened is with Macintosh operating system and the Windows operating system, I mean, you have a computer that can do X things. X is a very large number. If it's a general purpose computer with a lot of peripherals, it has a very large range of capabilities.
You could make an argument that it has effectively infinite possible capabilities.
Infinite digital capabilities. Of course, it is limited by speed at which it can perform those activities.
However, we have currently not yet hit any reasonable speed barrier.
Yes, but the point is that the Windows and Macintosh operating systems seem to be all about, allowing you to very easily do a few things that your computer is capable of doing and making it impossible for you to do other things that your computer is capable of doing.
Or making it very difficult.
Or making it very difficult. While Linux and I guess BSD, but mostly Linux and Linux distributions are all about letting you do as many of the things your computer can do as is possible. And that is why the Mac pissed us off in so many words. So this is just yet another example of that phenomena.
Yeah, though again, the Mac didn't totally piss us off.
Not totally.
Actually, as we've used it more and more, it is pretty much the perfect solution for us in the living room.
Except for emulating.
Yeah, but we're working on that.
We've pretty much sacrificed emulating in favor of having less shit under the TV.
Yes.
And less noise in the living room.
And also
which is, I guess, an even trade.
Well, once we get a receiver with some optical input, I think we're going to be all set here.
Yeah.
Anyway, Someone on Slashdot said something along these lines, and I'll paraphrase because I was thinking the same thing, but they made up some terms that seem useful. They said that this is basically a problem between a product-centric view versus a user-centric view, or a brand-centric versus a user-centric. To Microsoft, this is great. It provides a uniform thing. Every Windows computer makes this noise. This noise joins the psychoscape of Windows. You hear this sound and you think that's the sound of a computer starting.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. That's the reason that they want this to be. Because,
But the thing is, that provides absolutely no benefit to the user at all.
None.
But they're trying to market it as though it does. That, in fact, supposedly...
What kind of benefit does that have?
Supposedly...
that someone turned on a Windows computer.
From the article that may or may not be true about all this, basically said that the Microsoft guy said that one of the reasons for this, and they gave a whole bunch of reasons. I didn't even read all of them.
Whoa, I couldn't even think of one.
All right, one of them that I found silly was that now when people boot up a computer, they don't have to sit there and watch it. They'll just hear the sound and know it started.
I
don't have anything more to say about this other than, if it is true, I know that it's not going to actually affect Windows adoption, except possibly in corporate situations.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of corporate situations. Well, first of all, in a corporate situation, you usually don't have speakers plugged into the computer.
No, you do now. You don't work in IT. Pretty much every computer that is put in a corporate environment now, because of the way the computers are made by Dell and all those companies, they have perfectly serviceable speakers built into the computers themselves in the micro ATX cases.
Oh, it's no good.
My computer at work has speakers in it, and when I first got to work, it made noise.
That's not good.
And I didn't realize where the speakers were, and then I realized that PC speakers now are real speakers.
That's not good, but yeah, so that's a bad thing, a very bad thing.
But anyway...
Now, you don't want to walk around an office where people are trying to work and, rebooting computers just keep making noises all over the place.
But you shouldn't need to reboot your computer. Oh, it's Windows.
Duh.
No, I hate to make a joke like that, because Windows doesn't need to be rebooted that often anymore, unless you're running...
It needs to be rebooted less often than old Windows, and more often than Linux and Mac.
Except when I worked at IBM, you realize how many of our enterprise-level, Windows critical servers had daily reboots or weekly reboots scheduled because that was the only way to keep them running?
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And these weren't old. These were like Windows 2000 and Windows 2003.
Awesome.
One of them I built.
You built it poorly if it needed reboots.
No. My build had nothing to do with those reboots.
Okay.
I could tell you what had to do with those reboots, but that's a story for a Monday.
All right. So I got some news.
Yeah.
The news is this. Defectivebydesign.org, which are those people who are fighting DRM, the people who wear the hazmat suits outside of the Apple stores. Those guys.
The people we didn't get to see because Scott couldn't find the Apple store.
Well, because someone told me it was near the Empire State Building, which was not true. Not true at all.
It's true in the sense that everything in Manhattan is near the Empire State Building relative to, I don't know, upstate New York.
It was true that it was on the same avenue as the Empire State Building. But anyway, October 3rd, they have declared, is the Day Against DRM. And they start out with this interesting quote. And I'm going to read this quote because it's that good. You ready? Here's the quote. If consumers even know there's a DRM, what it is, and how it works, we've already failed. That quote is from a Disney executive that is unnamed.
Wow.
So, according to Defective by Design, the way to defeat DRM is making people aware of it. If we make it so that people know that there's a DRM, what it is, and how it works, then we win. So, on October 3rd, they're going to do everything they can to make sure they get the word out about DRM. And there's a cool website here. Well, there's a cool part on their website where they're listing things that you can do, and they're posting idea submissions of what should be done on October 3rd to get the word out about DRM. And some of these are pretty hilarious.
I think we should just go to a Best Buy and have some fun.
That sounds like a good idea. Here's what: get arrested for violating your own copyright. Create a Yahoo question. Create an anti-DRM video. Sell sandwiches with strings attached at lunchtime.
Good God.
put posters up, but have the posters be protected by DRM. Get the guy who does Dilbert to write a strip about DRM. All kinds of ideas here. So,
well, I know
October 3rd is going to be
what we're going to do.
October 3rd is going to be a fun day.
We're going to do a podcast about DRM.
It's on October 3rd. Let me see which day October 3rd is.
Doesn't matter what day it is. I mean, we missed International Day of Slayer. We've got to make up for
all right.
that.
It's a Tuesday, but if we do the episode Monday night, then it'll be out Tuesday, which I say is good enough.
Good enough.
And that's a tech day.
Good enough.
So Monday, October 2nd, DRM podcast.
For all of our new listeners, that music means that it is time for Things of the Day.
All right.
Which is basically we say our thing of the day, the most interesting or funny thing we've seen on the internet in the last day.
I got this cool thing, yo. It's mad cool.
Well, mine's got naked people.
Oh, mine has almost naked people.
All right, real briefly. There's a town in Vermont that has a problem with punk kids hanging out naked. Because apparently Vermont...
Are they underage?
Yeah, they're just punk kids.
Well, then isn't there some kind of law?
No. The thing is, Vermont has no state law banning nudity at all.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So unless an individual town has specifically banned it, which many haven't because they never even thought to, a whole bunch of kids found this out, and they're all hanging out in the middle of town naked, and there's this rash of just punk kids hanging out naked all over the place.
All right, well, if it's not freezing cold out, then, for that problem is solved. Problem 2, is it like co-ed, hanging out?
Probably.
Then, wouldn't you get some little erection action going on?
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think you're not allowed to have an erection in public.
That's because you're not allowed to be naked. It depends on where you live and what the laws are.
All right. So problem number 3. It's legal for little kids, underage kids, to be out in public naked.
Yeah.
All right? It's legal for me to take pictures anywhere in public.
If you want to make that example, you probably shouldn't have said me.
Okay. Yeah, because I wouldn't. But the point is...
You know what? The thing is, the police basically said there are laws against, obscenity in these towns and the state, and there are laws against, lewd and lascivious behavior. So, as long as they weren't doing anything sexual, it's perfectly legal. And I think, though IANAL, you could probably take pictures of anyone in a public place doing anything.
Yeah, so... I don't know. I just see a whole lot of contradictions, but it's cool. Hanging out naked's cool.
I gotta say, if I were a punk kid and when I was living in Sterling Heights and I found out that it was perfectly legal to be naked in public, you can bet your ass that me and half of my friends in high school would be wandering around naked doing the thing from that thing that would have been a thing of the day if I was doing Geeknights when we found it. And it's going to be my thing of the day next week. Scott knows what I'm talking about. Oh, my God.
I would totally do that if it wasn't illegal.
All right, I got a thing of the day. I'm going to save it for next Thursday. I'll give a hint every day for the next week. If anyone can guess...
You won't remember to give a hint.
We'll see if I do.
Okay.
If anyone remembers, or if anyone figures out what it is, or
we'll see if you remember to make it your thing of the day.
Or reminds me to do a hint because I forgot to after a day... You'll win some sort of non-monetary, non-physical prize.
Awesome.
Anyway.
My thing of the day is a Flash game called Dark Cut.
Is this some sort of goth game?
No.
It just shows a wrist and you have to slice it a little bit, just enough to look cool, but not enough to kill you.
It's the Flash game of medieval surgery.
Wait, so cutting off boils and applying leeches?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
I mean, this is it's like a really cheap, really quick trauma center that's got 4 levels in it. Does it have 3 or 4 levels? I don't remember.
Well, wasn't level 3 a vampire?
Yes. Level 1 is remove an arrow from the soldier's leg. Level 2 is cut off some plague boils. And level 3 is kill a vampire. If there was a level 4, I forgot it. Maybe there isn't one. And after you beat all the levels... they give you a score based on how quickly you beat it. So it's sort of like a quick and easy trauma center where you have to use the keyboard and the mouse combined to try to beat the game really quickly. And at first, it's a little tricky because you got to figure out exactly what to do. But after you do it all once, it's like, oh, I see. And you just go whoosh, 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 and beat the game. but it is a lot of fun to do horrible medieval surgeries on poorly drawn Flash animations.
But of course, the moment you've all been waiting for, now we are going to relay to you one of the greatest geek fables of our era.
The story of the Vision and the Bamboo.
Now, there are actually 3 fables rolled together into one. I like to call this day the Day of Destiny, for this is one of the periods of 24 hours in my life wherein I got more stories in that time than from many other periods in my life.
Okay, first we have to set up the background. You ready? It's summer at RIT. I am I'm working for a company on co-op, I believe. Rim is not there.
I'm living in downstate New York.
I'm living alone in Colony, working every weekday, and not doing anything else at night or on the weekend, except for hanging out with people who are still in Rochester. One of the people I was hanging out with was my good friend Ian, who I met in Israel in the summer of 2000.
Yep, Ian, he's not really so much a member of the Front Row crew because we don't see him a lot, but he is definitely an ally to the Front Row crew.
He's mad cool dude.
And he has his own crew.
Yeah. So what we were doing mostly was playing a lot of Mario Party. Mario Party 5, to be specific, because that was the Mario Party that was available.
Now, you have to understand that when Scott says they were playing Mario Party, they were not playing Mario Party. They were playing Mario Party.
We were seriously playing some Mario Party. There was another guy, Frugal, and it was his apartment that we were playing most of the Mario Party in. And there were a couple other guys, I forget their names, and, they were their friends that were also playing Mario Party. And it was all cool. Everyone was hanging out, having a good time Mario Partying. Now, we had a Mario Party shtick. Shtick number 1, right, was that they had purchased, the professional wrestling toy belts, and they had the tag team one and a couple other ones, and depending on what kind of Mario Party game you had just played, whoever won would get the belts.
Yeah, so they had various, world championships that would come and go, and they were a big deal. Everyone got really, really into it. Having those belts, if you were playing for the championship, the belts would be sitting there on top of the TV through the whole game.
Okay, shtick number 2. Frugal, who I just mentioned, it was his apartment. He had a little Wario toy with this little, and he had a necklace with Wario on it, with a big Wario toy hanging, and he would put it on to play Mario Party, and he would be Wario as his character. And he would rub the Wario and stuff, and he was pretty good at Mario Party.
Now, this started growing among all of us in our gaming, and for a while, each one of us had a unique totem that we would bring whenever we played a significant game.
Yeah, I made my little boos out of perler beads, because I was always Boo.
Yep.
And, I'd bring them in, and yeah, it was good times. And let's see. Oh, we had a little DK toy, and the DK toy, the Donkey Kong toy, would sit on the GameCube. And the DK is a rare event in Mario Party, at least Mario Party 5. So whenever DK happened, it was like, DK, woo! And it was a lot of fun. I think there are 2 more shticks. The one shtick was, when there's a time for a mini game in Mario Party, it displays a list on the screen, and then it randomly selects one of them. Everyone, of course, yells out the game that they want to play.
Now, at this time, I believe the microphone for the GameCube, they did not have it.
No, the microphone for the GameCube didn't come out until Mario Party 6 or 7, and this was only Mario Party 5. 6 wasn't out yet.
But they knew that it was someday going to exist.
No, we didn't.
I thought you did.
No, not at all.
Because there have been rumors.
No, we had no idea until much later.
I'm pretty sure there were rumors.
Well, we didn't know. We had no idea. What we did is, whenever, we made up a thing in our mind, because you'd call out the mini game you wanted it to be, and it would land on the mini game you called out. So we were like, oh, there must be some sort of microphone in the GameCube that heard us calling out for that mini game, and then it selected the one we wanted. So whenever you called out a mini game, and then it selected the one you called out, you would go, microphone, microphone.
Now, I'll say at this time that these are all mostly Scott and all their shticks, because I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah, Rim wasn't there, remember?
And that's
why I'm telling most of the story.
When I found out about these, they were mostly kind of uninteresting to me.
However, you ready? Here's the one that's important. The Vision. See, in Mario Party 5, the way the items work is you get an item ball from a gumball machine. And you can choose to either hold on to this item and pay some money to use it on yourself, which is always good if it was like a Wiggler. Or, for absolutely no cost to you, you could throw it at 1 to 10 spaces, and it would land on that space and inhabit it. And if you were to land on that space, or if anyone else were to land on that space at a later time, it would be as if they had used that item on themselves. So, let's say you got a spiky shell. You could throw the spiky shell, have it land on a spot, and then anyone who were to step there would have a spiky shell happen to them. Yeah. So one of the items was the poison mushroom. The poison mushroom makes you small and makes you walk very slowly. It only gives you one very small dice to roll. So
it doesn't die.
Die.
It doesn't let you move very far if you land on it.
Yes. So Frugal, had a vision. He goes, I have a vision. I have a vision. And his vision was to line up the poison mushrooms just one after the other on the game board, so that if you landed on one of them, you would be forced to roll a very small die, and you would land on another one and be forced to roll a very small die.
Now, at this point, these gentlemen all decided that now they have to see this vision through. They have to strive to create the vision.
So pretty much every game of Mario Party we played since he came up with the vision, we would take every single poison mushroom we had and just line them up on the board, and as we did it, every time something happened, either someone landing on one of the poison mushrooms or someone adding to the vision, Frugal would go, my vision, my vision. And his vision came to be many times.
Now, of all of that, I will venture forth the word crap. The vision is really the only one that I found funny and that stuck with us at all.
Yeah, the other ones noticed we don't.
Because the vision started coming with great frequency. Mostly from Scott, mostly ignored, but we had many visions nonetheless.
Yes, the vision was the only shtick that's actually useful outside of Silly Mario Party. And, Silly Mario Party ended as soon as school started and more interesting things happened because there were more people around.
Yeah, Mario Party.
We were pretty much using the Mario Party as a means of entertainment in the lonesome Rochester summer.
Mario Party is a game that does nothing but kill time.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's not really that good a game. It just kills time.
It would be a good game if they cut back on a lot of these slow, useless animations.
It takes
and they
so
just hurried up with the mini
long
games.
to play that goddamn game. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, if they could do a lot to make Mario Party a much quicker play, or at least have quick play options where they wouldn't do extra useless animations. It would just, the die would immediately roll, your guy would automatically move forward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Now,
this is not a Mario Party review.
Now, I came back to Rochester because it was about that time when I was going to move back into school and all that and hang out. So I come back, and right before Scott tells me that he wants to challenge for the tag team championship belts.
And we need to do a 2 versus 2 Mario Party.
Now, I haven't played Mario Party in a while. At least, especially not this Mario Party that I'd never played before.
Mm-hmm.
But I rose to the challenge, and I decided, all right, I will come, and we will play this for the honor of the front row crew, for the honor of ourselves, and for the belts against the current reigning champions.
Now, I didn't give us very good chances of winning, but
I had a vision. I had a vision of us losing.
Well, see, I figured that we did have a chance at winning. I just didn't think that we were definitely the underdogs. But we did have a chance,
Now, despite this, we were playing, the game
because there is much randomness in Mario Party, and we could have befallen some great stars.
And also, despite the lack of my playing for a long time, there are certain kinds of Mario Party games that I do not lose at.
Yeah.
And combined with Scott, who has his own list of games that he does not lose at, we were doing very well.
We could have beaten most people at that Mario Party easily.
Now, because this was the end. This was the World Championship. This was for the belt. This wasn't just some piddly, Class Joe. This was Mike Tyson versus Mike Tyson.
Yep. All right. So
just imagine Mike Tyson boxing Mike Tyson.
Okay. So first we'll tell the Mario Party, and then we'll tell the Bamboo.
All right.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, the game starts, and, there's a lot of trash talk. Trash talk was probably more important than the actual game.
I agree.
And the vision played heavily because I had a vision of us winning at this point. My vision was strong.
Yes, we were both teams were gaining stars at a somewhat equal rate. Like we got a star, they got a star. They got a star, we got a star. It was going good. Everything was happening and cool.
And then there was a stretch where Scott and I were ahead by a star for a while. We were doing.
Yeah, we were like a third of the way, almost halfway through the game, and we were, doing really well, and we were winning, about our fair share of the mini games, and everything was going good.
We were about a star ahead, and we were going to be okay. Every time they advanced, we advanced. We were keeping them back. We were keeping them at bay. They weren't winning enough games to overtake us.
And then, in one turn, or I think maybe it was 2 turns.
All right, so
it doesn't matter. Pretty much in the span of 1 to 2 turns of Mario Party, we were stolen by the Boo.
Well, listen. First, we played a duel wherein they gained a star and we lost a star.
That's right.
Then they got a star, legitimately. Then we landed on a star.
Which makes us lose a star.
Then, right after that, we landed on a star.
2 stars. You got to understand, in Mario Party, a star is a super rare, terrible thing that makes you lose a star into a bottomless pit.
So, but we were, one bad thing I was like, we can still win. Another bad thing, we can still win. Another thing, we can still win. When we landed on that second fucking star, I just dropped my controller and I just couldn't. I didn't even know what to say. And they didn't know what to say either. They weren't cheering. They were just sitting there like, wow.
We did. It's like the game, which is a pretty even match of 2-on-2 Mario Party, became a complete and utter blowout. Whereas we were destroyed by random stars.
If you can picture it, there are 4 men playing Mario Party, and suddenly in the middle of the game, 3 horrid whirling cocks rise out of the GameCube. The controllers pin Scott and I down and sodomize us furiously.
Yeah, we got punned.
So,
but
the game
some
went
of
into
that
chaos.
punnage was randomness. Because after we got punned by the stars, I will admit we started. We did not win the majority of the mini games after that point, but I think a lot of it was just because we were so downtrodden from being anally raped.
Our spirits were broken at that
Yes.
point. I mean, it got to the point, like, right after that, I was, like, my turn began, and I went from winning to no chance of winning, and I'm sitting there, and I have items, and I'm just like, you know what? Whatever, and I just hit A.
Yeah.
But
after that point in the game, we pretty much slowed our rate of star getting, and they got a whole bunch more stars.
And also, the game exploded into anarchy for a while, in that everyone was yelling and screaming about the star after, it set in what had just happened. And we really all kind of got distracted. And I'll back it up a little bit, because the story we're about to tell has a little bit of backstory from maybe 5 minutes earlier before this star happened.
Yes, okay, now.
Because at one point, Frugal, or was it Frugal?
I don't know. It was as soon as we got there.
You know what? Anytime it's not me or Scott, I'll say it's Ian.
Okay, so
now, where's Ian?
When we got there, right, someone made a now you got to understand the layout of this room. There is a kitchen, there is a big screen TV, and there are people sitting all around the big screen TV. And the kitchen is to the left of the TV, and to the right of the TV is like where Frugal and Ian are, and closer to the kitchen is where me and Rem are. And on that side of the room where Frugal and Ian are, there is a mini fridge. And on top of the mini fridge is like a lamp. Okay? Now, over near there's another kid there. I forget his name. And
all right, him.
Yeah. And he's sitting near the mini fridge, and he's complaining about a nasty smell. And he complained about it like when we got there, and he complained about it a little while later. And there was...
He didn't do anything about it. He was just like, man, something smells. We got to clean this place out. And Ian and Ferg were like, yeah, whatever. Later.
Yeah, I think someone looked in the mini fridge once and was like, because it was coming from that area, which is far away from us because we weren't smelling it. And, they didn't see anything in there but like soda cans and beer cans and whatever. So, they were like, I guess nothing's rotting in the fridge. What could it be? Whatever.
So we ignore. I mean, I didn't even smell anything, so I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And the game's going on. And then, right before the star, I remember Ian... Or might have been Frugal, but one of them who wasn't.
I don't remember when
the
exactly.
Smell,
it was definitely during the game because it interrupted
the game. It was before
the
star.
Was it?
But this wasn't the interruption. They just said like, I kind of smell like vomit or something.
It definitely had a vomitaceous smell.
And everyone
vomitaceous odor.
So Ian says something like, I kind of smell vomit. And we all look and we sniff around a little. We're like, whatever. I don't see any vomit. Let's finish this game.
Yeah.
Because we were still winning at this point. I was still on high spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So after the second star, and after my life was ruined and my ass was sodomized.
But before the end of the game.
Suddenly, Frugal sits up. He's like, you know what? I still smell vomit. There's vomit somewhere. I gotta find it.
Yeah, they were complaining it must have been a rank odor if they were, they couldn't stand it. They had to get up and find the source of the vomit smell.
Now, it was just Frugal, I think, that stood up. Or I'll say
I don't remember, but everyone
was,
started looking around trying to find the source of the smell.
Yeah, though it started out with just like one of them stood up while we're playing and you start sniffing around, and then everyone else is like, if you're gonna do this, then we can't play until you're done. We better find this odor.
Yep.
And I still couldn't smell anything. And they're sniffing around. And, I walk over to the kitchen and I look in the garbage disposal and I look in the garbage and there's nothing around. And he's like he starts taking stuff out of the fridge and trying to see if there's anything.
Yeah, they're taking
spilled.
stuff out of the cabinets. Even though the smell was coming from the other side of the room, I was assuming that the smell was coming from outside the window, which is right behind the mini fridge.
Yeah, I mean, I was
like, let's go outside and look for a dead skunk or something.
I started looking under the couches, maybe
or
some
a dead animal outside.
I was convinced that someone had vomited somewhere and hidden it or something.
Something like that. Of course, all the couches are raised up with their stadium seating. So,
and then I'll say Ian, because I don't remember who did it. Suddenly, goes bolt upright and goes, it's right there.
And he goes, and he leans over to sniff at this thing, and I couldn't really tell what it was from where I was.
And he backs off.
He backs off, and he's like, it's the bamboo.
It's that fucking bamboo.
It's the fucking bamboo.
And we're like, what? No way. So
I was like,
over.
a bamboo? I wasn't quite sure what they were talking about. I'm looking out for a giant bamboo stick or something.
So Ian walks over. He's like, what do you mean? And he's like, right there. And he points at the little bamboo. And he's like, what? And he leans over.
The bamboo.
And he doesn't gingerly. He leans over and goes, and then he makes a noise like he's about to vomit.
Yeah, now, I didn't quite understand what they meant by the bamboo. I mean, I knew what bamboo is, but I was like, is there a stick of bamboo somewhere in this house that's all rotting or what? It was this little tiny porcelain pot thingy with dirt in it, and a little tiny bamboo shoot coming out of it. Maybe a few inches long.
And there was only a half inch of dirt, and the rest was just water.
Yes, there was standing water in this tiny little
And the water was clear.
pot.
There was nothing floating in the water.
It was clear water with dirt under it and a shoot of bamboo.
So, Ian backs off, making this gagging noise. And Frugal's like, see, someone vomited in the bamboo. And then Ian's like, but it's clear through his gagging.
All right, so...
Now, Scott is sitting down.
I'm sitting everyone goes back to their seats, now that we found the source of the odor, and Ian was going to dispose of the bamboo as we all sat and waited for him to get that over with, because no one else wanted to be near the thing.
Now, I didn't really believe him that it smelled that bad.
So he brought it over, to different people in the room, here, smell it, man, smell it. So everyone was able to experience the...
The problem is he's walking across.
Nasal pleasantries.
Now, I forget who bumped it, but I think it was you.
No, I remember exactly the bumping. Okay?
You remember?
Yes. So he's bringing it around the room, and then he brings it to me, right? And he's trying to bring it near me, you got to smell. And I didn't want to, even though everyone else wanted to have their olfactory nerves stimulated by the amazing bamboo.
I was curious.
Yeah, I decided I would rather... avoid having...
See, the reason I was curious because I didn't believe them. I was convinced that there was something in there.
I didn't want to have the odor of puke infecting my nasal passages. So as he brought it over to me to have me smell it, I put my hand out to do the Kramer, stop with the flat hand, and it bumped.
Now, a drop of the liquid that was in this little container fell out and bounced off of Scott and kind of rolled away.
There was
one drop.
Well, no, it wasn't one drop.
There was a little tiny bit.
There was it was basically a splash. It was splash.
It was a tiny little splash.
There was one splash that got drops on me, on the chair, and on some other things.
There was less than an inch and a half of water in this thing.
It was very little water, but it was a splash. It's as if you took, it had a glass of juice and you drank it all, but then, there's always some left. It was if you took all of that and splashed it around the room.
But there was still a lot left in the container.
There was left in the little thing, yes.
So it was a tiny amount. And
a relatively tiny amount.
So this tiny amount of liquid has entered the room now and has dissipated itself. It no longer is cohesive. It is now spread out. And at this point, no one in the room could speak, for we were all trying to not vomit.
It was the most rank odor I think I have ever experienced.
It was the worst thing I've ever smelled, and I stepped in a dead deer once.
But, oh my God, you had no idea. Like, there was a drop of it on me. There was a drop of it on the chair.
Scott
There was
ran.
a drop of it, like, on the couch.
Scott ran away, like trying to get away from it, but like the kid who had the string of firecrackers taped to his leg, he could not get away because it was on him.
It was the worst smell ever.
The exact sequence was splash, pause, gag, scream,
Yes.
chaos.
I mean, they quickly managed to dispose of the actual bamboo itself after this point, but the room exploded. Everyone was like, oh God, running around screaming, trying to clean this up and rid the world of this odor
Now, Ian,
as soon as possible.
now there's still some left in the thing, so he decides that the rest of this liquid needs to go away forever. So he runs into the kitchen with what's left of it, and he dumps it down the drain, and then he starts running hot water over it. And that unleashed the final smell. That just filled the room.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that doing that would send the odor to its death. But no, apparently the odor must have been coming from the dirt, or it was most concentrated under the water. So by doing that, he actually started, disseminating the odor quite a bit. And you couldn't even go near the kitchen anymore. It was like, oh God, until eventually a few minutes later, it did all get washed away when they took the bamboo out to the trash.
Now, of course, the first thing we thought was, we should give this bamboo to someone. It's
course.
obviously magical.
Obviously, but there was much ruckus for quite a few minutes, perhaps 10 to 15 minutes, running around the room trying to clean up and get the odor out, opening windows, blowing fans, spraying Febreze, all kinds of stuff.
It was the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't just smell like vomit.
It smelled like vomit. Think about this. You have a very small amount of liquid in a glass, right? And standing about 5 feet away from this glass smells like someone vomited in the room. And it's a very small amount of liquid. Going near it and smelling it makes you gag and almost vomit yourself. Spilling that liquid everywhere makes the room explode and people run around yelling and screaming.
Now,
And dumping it down the sink and pouring hot water after it makes people flee the apartment. That's how bad it is.
so after about an hour,
I would have paid someone like $100 to just take the thing and either like drink some amount of the water or just put their nose right into it and take a big old whiff.
I just would have walked into Gracie's and knocked it over and walked away.
That would have been hilarious.
Especially if I made some vomitous noises right beforehand.
Or
No, even better. You just put it on the little conveyor that goes into the
oh
water.
no! Oh no!
I mean, people used to put, gloves filled with stuff and pennies in the rolls. Imagine if someone put a glass of that.
Pennies in the rolls. I never understood that one.
You realize because it made a horrid ruckus and a mess.
I know, but it's like they'd have to know what was going on behind there in order to know that would cause trouble.
You know what? They did know because everyone knew.
Okay.
Anyway, so after about an hour, we calmed down. And then, we're trying to finish the game of Mario Party, but it's over. And we're basically, no one's saying anything other than, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
What the fuck was
this
that?
is now the phase of what was making that bamboo smell so bad.
I mean, literally, the conversation was like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck? I don't know. What
Was there a
the fuck?
bacteria growing in there?
But it was clear.
Does bamboo have some sort of odorific properties that we were unaware of?
Was it some kind of vomit bamboo?
Yeah, it's like, what the hell was it? No
Are we sure it was the bamboo? What if it was just someone poured a liquid in there? What if it was a practical joke and someone poured some fart stuff in there? What if the container broke and there was something in it? What if aliens came?
Yeah, we had no idea. Maybe it was, some fertilizer in the little bamboo plant. Maybe it was the dirt. Maybe, who knows? We had no idea. It was a mystery. It's still a mystery. Google didn't even know. But yeah.
Well, eventually we found the answer that apparently bamboo plants that grow in water like that, especially confined, are somewhat susceptible to a number of infections. Not really infections, but there are things that will grow in the water that make a smell like that. And apparently, whatever conditions that little bit of bamboo had been sitting in were exactly perfect for that thing, whatever it is, to thrive.
I think it was mainly due to the being on top of the mini fridge and thus being warmed up.
I think also not being moved or disturbed in any way for like a year.
I don't know how old the bamboo was because it wasn't in my apartment. It was in an apartment I only went to play Mario Party.
There was when they picked it up, I remember there was definitely a lot of dust around it and no dust under it. It had been there a while.
Well, apartments pick up dust pretty quick, so that's not 100% tell.
It had been there a while.
But it's a good
sure.
tell. Maybe it was just rotting dust. I don't know.
Dust. It wasn't rotting dust.
I just ran a guess. But yeah, that is the story of the Vision and the bamboo.
Now, the moral here, I'm not going to play the WAV file.
Oh, you suck.
Because the WAV file is so low quality.
Fine.
If you find me a better WAV file, which you did, but you never gave to me, and I'm not waiting
I didn't
tonight.
find a better one.
Yeah, you did.
Did I?
The one you played from the DVD a little while ago.
Oh, that one.
Anyway, the moral of this story is that if life gives you shit, throw it away and make lemonade. That might not make sense, but consider this. In the course of that day, we lost the World Championship of Mario Party and the championship belts.
Yep.
By a lot.
We got smelly ass bamboo all over ourselves.
Yes. And despite that, it was one of the funniest days we've ever had.
Yeah, it was a total party. Everyone had a lot of fun. Everyone had great stories to tell from it. It's like, hey, life gave us vomit-smelling bamboo, but that day was awesome.
I mean, a lot of people, because actually I remember a long time ago, like when I was a junior or senior, I think it was when I was a junior at RIT, I wrote an article, I might have been a senior, for Gracie's Dinnertime Theater. And the article I wrote was basically, I'm always happy. Ha-ha. And I got a lot of hate mail from this about, you're not happy, you're lying. And I think that the only real difference between me and all those, well, not just me, but, the crew in general, me and Scott and the whole front row crew, was that when good things happen, we laugh and enjoy them. And when bad things happen, we laugh and enjoy them as best we can. And in the very least, no matter how bad something is that happens to any of us, no matter how bad it is, at least there's a good story to tell about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can even make jokes about 9/11 that are funny, I mean, sure, when something's serious, you got to deal with it seriously. But that doesn't mean that you have to be, personally upset and unhappy and, tormented and depressed. If something terrible happens, you deal with it seriously, you treat it seriously, your actions are, respectable and such. And, you don't, say certain things to certain people, but, you gotta, if you don't make the best of it, you're just gonna become a depressed loser.
If anytime something bad happens to you, the best thing you can do is just remember that now you've got one hell of a story to tell. Like, yeah, remember that time I got shot? Oh, yeah.
Even if it's like an ultra terrible story, like, oh my God, horrible things happened, I mean, we've had something. I mean, we have friends in the crew who, survived cancer, and they joke about it constantly. Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
That is what you need to do. So, the next time you get smelly-ass bamboo water all over your shirt and, you almost puke a couple times.
In addition to getting zdarred twice in one game in the span of 1.5 rounds of that game.
Yep. Just go to some forum on the internet somewhere and tell the story or write it in your blog or make a podcast about it or just tell your friends at conventions and it'll be a good fun time.
I really wish there was a way for me to send the smell of that bamboo over TCP/IP to all of you out there.
Yes. Well, SmelterNet is not yet up and running.
I don't think... We're not kidding. That was the worst thing I've ever smelled.
Yeah.
I mean, I've set off stink bombs. I found dead... Not human bodies, but I found dead things before.
Dead animals smell... Dead animals, like one of the worst smells ever. Bamboo was worse.
Yeah,
Hands down.
I once let a sack of potatoes rot. And rotting potatoes smell apparently a lot like a rotting human corpse in the certain conditions.
Mm-hmm.
That was not even a quarter as disturbing as the smell of that bamboo.
It was bad.
Good
I think
God.
it was mostly due to the strength of the odor.
And also the fact that we were taken completely flat-footed by that.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene was that there's this bad smell, and the guy, he's walking over with the thing, and he's going to dispose of it after letting everyone, realize how bad it is. And in the span of like a second, it goes from this little, like a minorly bad odor.
It's basically an incredibly strong odor contained in an incredibly small place. And
it was
then
a flashbang.
We let the cat out of the bag.
It was a flashbang of odor.
Yeah.
If the SWAT team wanted to get us all they'd have to do was throw one of those little bamboo fuckers into the room, and that's the end of us.
Oh my God, stink bombs on an airplane. Oh my God. All right.
Yes. So to all of our new listeners, every episode we've ever done is up in the archives. The last 100 episodes are up in the feed. Join the Frapper map on the website, www.frontrowcrew.com. Join the forums. They're really, really rocking and awesome. There are links to everything we talk about on the website in the show notes for every episode.
Mm-hmm. I think that's about it. Join the forum, and if you don't get an email saying your application has been approved, you're approved. Go sign in.
Yep, and there may or may not be an episode on Monday, because Monday is a holiday, and
Oh, that's right.
we might do an episode, we might not, we might do a special. We're not sure yet. We don't know.
Yeah, I have to go see what the old schedule with the family is there.
Yes, and Emily is coming back from Japan. Well, she's back from Japan, and she's coming back to downstate New York this weekend. Yes. I am quite happy and excited. As long as she doesn't bring me bamboo. And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.